guys, welcome to my studio. My name is Mary Corrado. I am an interior decorator here in Portland, Oregon, and I am also a student of Amy Howard's Old World Finishing course. And this course has taught me so much. It's just been unbelievable. And not only can you learn to paint furniture, you can also learn to paint fabric. That's what I'm going to show you today, is how I created the fabric for this stool that I have here. Let me turn down the camera and I will show you and I will explain. Chinoiserie aged, crusty, fabulous fabric. Now, if this was found in a designer showroom, oh my gosh, let me tell you, you would pay a fortune per yard. But let me tell you what this is made out of, and you can make this too. It's unbelievable. Let me put it down and I'll show you. This fabric is made, and I'm going to turn it down again. This fabric is made from burlap. Just regular craft store burlap. The natural jute, super inexpensive. You can't beat it. Everyone can do this. Okay, not only is it burlap, it is Amy Howard's Venetian Plaster. This stuff is fabulous. We are going to plaster onto the burlap and then continue with some stenciling, some milk paint, some aging, and all that good stuff, and you will have created this gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. Now, the Venetian Plaster is made with 3 ingredients only. It is made with lime, calcium carbonate, which is chalk, and marble dust. And this stuff mixes up beautifully with just water, and you trowel it on. And some people have trowels. I just have my scraper, metal scraper spatula thing. It works beautifully. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate it here on a smaller sample of fabric, just so you guys understand the process, and then you can work on something larger when you are ready. Now, what I want you to do is come on, say hi, tell us who you are and where you're from, and if you share this video with 3 friends, then your name will go into a drawing for your very own bag of Venetian Plaster. So if you get chosen, you will have this beautiful bag of Venetian Plaster sent to you, and you will be able to start creating not only Venetian Plaster on fabric, but on furniture, on walls. It is endless, and this stuff is really fun to work with. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to show you how to create the fabric. Don't mind the squeakiness as I keep moving the camera. Okay, so what we're going to do is we start with Venetian Plaster. Don't have a spoon with me, so I'm just going to kind of scoop some into my bowl. And what you want to do is you want to mix this with warm water, just regular tap water, and you are going to mix this to the consistency of sour cream. So it's not too thick, not too thin. I always have to kind of work in a little bit of water at a time so I don't overdo it. So give it a good stir. Make sure it's very well incorporated. This is kind of a thick sour cream to me. Let's just keep stirring it so we get the clumps out and it's nice and smooth and ready to go onto the burlap. Now this does take drying time between coats of each process, but I'm going to use a blow dryer today just to make it go a little bit quicker, just so we can get the idea and we can see final product in as quick of a time as possible. Okay. Would probably stir this a little bit better, but for today's sake, I am going to use it like this, and I'll show you how you trowel it on. I like to use the flat. I know this has like a little beveled edge. I tend to use this flat edge, and you just add your plaster, just like that. See, it's thick. And then you just start to apply it. You want to definitely have, this would probably take 2 coats because you want it to really kind of cover. Right now you can still see the burlap, but like I said, for today's purposes, it's a little bit of a quick tutorial that normally I would take a little more time. Let's get this plastered on here. Now this is, you can just kind of go in, you know, kind of sweeping strokes. Keep this nice and tilted at an angle when you're applying it. Add a little bit more. Just so we have enough surface to show you the process of the whole fabric. Okay. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to get the blow dryer and I'm going to just start drying this a bit. Okay, so you don't have to listen to the blow dryer this whole video. Okay, this is definitely still wet, but I'm going to show you the next step. We'll go from there. After we do the Venetian plaster, granted 2 coats we would like. This, we would want it definitely a little bit thicker and a little less textured, so it's a nice smooth finish on here. But today we are just going to be able to do the 1 coat. And then this is the next step, the Toscana milk paint. This is called Noir. And milk paint comes in a dry form, because if you were to use milk paint, mix it up wet and leave it on the shelf, it would only last about 2 weeks, because it does have casein in it, which is a milk product, and it will spoil just like milk. So this is a non-VOC. This is almost like Amy says, shopping at the grocery store kind of a product. So what we do is we add some powder to our bowl. And this is the color of it when it's dry. You're going to mix 1 part milk paint to 1 part water. This is a bit of a thinner kind of a paint. Right now I'm just getting it into kind of a paste so I can get it nice and mixed together. Then I'll add some more water. And see, when it's wet, it's much, much darker. But it will dry back down to its dry color. Okay, let's get some more water in here. Get this nice and stirred up. Now with milk paint, you can mix it the night before. Lots of times we have better results when we do that, because it gives it time to kind of dissolve all these little, you can kind of hear these crunchy little granules that are in it. And the more that you kind of stir and let that sit, then the more they dissolve, but they also, don't be surprised when you realize it's super watery and everything is settled to the bottom. That's exactly what this paint does. Everything settles to the bottom, and every time you use it. Every time you dip your brush in it, you must re-stir it to reincorporate everything into the paint. It kind of settles like sand in water. You know how sand gets kind of thick and the water comes to the top? So you got to kind of dig in there and really stir it up. Okay. So that's pretty thin. Okay. Now let me see if this is possibly slightly dry enough. I'm going to do this one more time. Okay. Now, keep in mind this is very rushed. Do not do this when you are doing this for yourself. You will have much better results if you take your time and let everything dry. Let this Venetian plaster dry overnight. Your milk paint you would want to dry at least an hour between coats. But I think honestly you probably only need one coat on the plaster. So let's see. Let's give it a shot. Now I use, so that it gets in here really nicely, we use a foam brush. So just dip it in to your paint. Give it a stir, offload a little bit, and start to paint. See how it just goes on there so nicely. This stuff is so fun to work with. Give it 100% coverage so that you don't have a lot of the plaster showing underneath. Okay. Blow dryer comes out again. We're going to get this dry. And when you start to see, actually already, it's already starting to absorb and dry, and that you will start to notice that this black is going to turn back to its kind of a lighter, softer gray black. Okay, I apologize for all the blow drying. Okay, so now, here we have a thick fabric that is, you can just kind of hear it. It already has a little bit of cracking going on, but that's a good thing. So what we're going to do now with this is where, and of course this needs to be 100% dry, but I'm going to show you from here how to do the stencil, and this is what makes it as beautiful as it is. Amy Howard from a Maker Studio has these amazing stencils. This is her Toile Chinoiserie stencil, and it, to me, is fabulous. I love this stencil. I love anything Toile or Chinoiserie. And this on the black with a gold Maker Studio ChalkArt is going to be fabulous. Let me show you. Okay, so this has a slight adhesive to the back, so it can adhere really nicely onto your surfaces. Just give it a nice little press. You want to try and get the air bubbles out. This is a little bit of a rough fabric. Hopefully it won't smear under too much, but let's give it a shot. Okay. This is the ChalkArt. It is a gel kind of substance. It's very, very thick. Now I will be getting my little tool to use. You can buy these from Amy Howard. She also now has some new squeegees that I noticed. These are just really inexpensive little pieces of plastic, but they make a great squeegee. But what I'm going to do is cut this down a little tiny bit so I can get it into the container better. Okay. Just dip into your gel art and you just screen print. Squeegee it on. Super easy, super, super fun. I love doing this. When I was first married, my husband and I opened our own design and screen printing shop. And although I always did the design, I never did the screen print. Kind of wishing I'd been able to do the screen print after I'm doing this. This is so much fun. Although I know the screen printers would probably laugh at me and say this isn't nearly that easy, but it's fun for me. So, okay, let's see what happens. Lift it up. There you have it. Turn it around and show you. We suddenly have a beautiful toile fabric. Isn't that cool? Now the thing about this, and because it's not perfectly dry and everything, I'm getting like some interesting textures on there that you probably won't if you follow the proper steps and you make sure everything is, you know, dry in between and all that good stuff. But this is with the gel ink and the ChalkArt. And again, I'm gonna have to apologize and blow dry this because from here, we are going to show you how to antique it. But actually, you know what? I have this piece that I have done before, and this is totally dry, so I think I will take over from here because this way we can continue and it will give it the proper effect. Okay, so let me put this aside. And here I have my little piece I'm going to turn towards me. And from here, because it's so garish, which is really beautiful in and of itself, but to me that's just way too garish. I want something that's like the fabric on my stool, much, much more antiqued, much toned down so it doesn't jump out at you and glare at you. I want it to feel like it's very, very old and very worn. So from here, we are going to do a glaze. We have to do a sealant and a glaze on this. So let me do our quick sealant. This is Amy Howard's matte sealer. Can you see that? I just dip. I should probably put it in a bowl, but sometimes I just dip in and it seems fine. Okay, and just give this a good roll. You need to seal this ChalkArt because it is water-based. And actually, if you were to stencil and you didn't like the way it turned out, you can wash it right off and you can start again. Okay, now I'm going to blow this dry. Okay, now we have to make a glaze to go over this. And this is used with 1 part 1 step black paint, 1 part glazed over, and 2 parts glazed over, excuse me. 2 parts of glazed over, 1 part black milk paint, and 1 part water. So let's get this mixed up. Find my little opener. Okay. So 2 parts glazed over. I'm not going to do very much of this because it's such a tiny piece. So okay, just a little bit of milk paint, or 1 step, black 1 step. And then same amount of water. Okay, give this a good stir. Mix it together. I'm going to give it a little tiny bit more water. am then going to grab another foam brush, and offload a bit, and then brush this on. Okay. From there, you take a lint-free rag and you pounce. Because you don't want it completely covered. You want to bring out a little bit more of that gold, a little bit of shininess and spots. And this all dries so quickly. So you kind of have to work fast. Okay? See how that's nice and toned down? Looks great. Okay, quick blow dry one more time. Okay, I'm dry this a touch more. Okay, we're gonna go into our waxes and finish this up. We're almost done. This is a several step process, but it is worth doing. Just so satisfying. Okay. So let's see, let me grab a cardboard. And we are going to start with our light antiquing wax. There we go. This one's dry, I need to work on that one. Here's the dark, and here's the dark antiquing wax. So we start with the light, load up our brush, and always offload onto cardboard. That way it doesn't clump in your brush and get too much onto your piece. You don't want too much wax. So I'm just gonna get this out of the way. And we just lightly go over and wax everything. Okay. Let's fan this a little bit. You want this always to come to tack, which means your wax dries a bit, because when you first put it on, it's definitely kind of greasy feeling, and you want that greasy feeling to go away so that it's dry enough for it to be ready to take some dark wax. If you were to put on the dark wax before this comes to tack, it would actually start to combine with the light wax and create its own color, and you do not want that to happen. That's not desirable. So okay, that feels pretty good. I'm going to take my brush for my dark wax, and you do see dark wax on here, so it's not a waste of a step. Upload, and then you carefully go through and just hit it lightly everywhere. Okay, almost done. Let this come to tack. We're going to finish with Dust of Ages, and then I'm going to show you how to distress it, and then we're done. So pretty. I just love this. This would be such a pretty little picture framed, just as is. So beautiful. Okay. Here's another fun part. You take your Dust of Ages, and this will help get into the kind of the crevices. But just kind of brush this all over. Always be generous with it. Wear a mask if it's too dusty for you. It can get a little bit dusty. Okay, then you take your rag, kind of crunch it up, and just start to buff. Kind of back and forth, hitting, kind of like a hit drag. As Amy says, kind of like buffing a shoe. Now you're going to start to see a beautiful sheen. And now it is darkened and aged and looks like some old gold chinoiserie that you see on an old piece of furniture. That's just that beautiful aged hint. Gorgeous, just gorgeous. Okay. Final step. This is the fun part. Don't forget to say hi, tell us where you're from, and share this with 3 friends. We would love to hear from you. So this part is where you roll it. Keep rolling. You give it kind of a good crunch. It's dry so you can feel it. You can kind of hear it. When you unroll it, look at that. Isn't that awesome? It's started to show the plaster. And this is how you get that beautiful aged fabric. It's almost an embossed type of feeling. You can age it as much or as little as you want to, but let me show you now once again on my bench. This is what it looks like. It is so fun and so fabulous. And these are my little shining stars in my room. I just love them. Well, thank you for watching. I know this was a little bit of a long one with a lot of blow drying, but it's worth the time and the effort to create such a beautiful piece of fabric. And so thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to catch you next time. All right, bye-bye.